Well, greetings being. This week I am inspired to talk about compassion. And as usual, I'm talking about compassion from the perspective of years of working with people and the things that come up around this concept. So it is from that practical standpoint that I make these points. The first thing that comes to mind for me when we're talking about being compassionate is that it doesn't mean feeling sorry for somebody. I think that oftentimes that is the first thing that many people think about. Oh, I'm going to be compassionate. I feel really sorry for this person, and now I will do something to help them perhaps, which in many ways sounds perfectly fine. However, the issue is when we feel sorry for somebody, we are normally going in with our idea of what it is that they are experiencing. So let's say it's a homeless person on the street, and we notice him or her, and we start to feel sorry and think that it's too bad that they don't have a home and that they look like they might not be taking great care of themselves, or that maybe they're in need of a doctor, or just some rest, or a good night's sleep in a nice warm bed and a hot shower, or whatever it is. Or we might have other judgments that they're bad or harmful to society, or losers, or whatever it might be. When we're feeling sorry for somebody, we are bringing all of our own agenda, our thoughts, our attitudes, our opinions, our feelings, our judgments to bear on the circumstance. When compassion actually means to be with someone. So perhaps a conversation with this said homeless person would reveal that he or she is actually quite happy in their life, that he or she has a degree of freedom that perhaps you or I might not ever know, that perhaps this person has chosen actively, consciously, to be homeless, and that choice does something for their being, for their soul's development, that you might not, I might not ever be able to understand. So to be with someone is to be clear of any and all of our own judgments. And we know that judgment and compassion are pretty much two sides of the same coin. You can be in one or the other, but it's really impossible, I think, to be in both. So to be compassionate is to enter a space with somebody, to be with them sans without any of our own preconceived ideas. Now this ties to another concept within being compassionate, which is, well, why? Why not? Why should I not try to help? And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to help if help is being asked for. But oftentimes we're giving help when or before it's asked for. So when we consider that each of us is here on purpose, for a purpose, that we have come to have experiences that will grow our soul, and that we made that choice as a spiritual being to have a specific human experience, we made that choice with our Creator. That for any of us to impose our will on that contract is really rather pompous and arrogant if you think about it. That person, whoever it is that we might be feeling sorry for, without necessarily knowing anything, is in a process with our Creator, just as you are and just as I am. And so for us to impose anything on that process or to get in the way of it or to try to change it is just not our job. And we know that because we also know that to be compassionate means to allow people to have their experiences. And this is why. Because we don't really know what the heck is going on. And again, if we haven't been asked or if we haven't been told, then it's none of our business. And to take the position that it's none of our business is actually, in this sense, a compassionate act. And I know we've talked a lot about this in class before. Now, another place that compassion shows up, or where I think we kind of don't do so well, is when it comes to compassion for ourselves. How many of us say things to ourselves, either out loud or largely in our minds, that we would never say to anybody else, much less somebody we loved or cared about? We tend to learn compassion for others, how to, as we're talking about now, actually be with another without imposing any agenda. And that's fantastic. However, we often fail to remember that being compassionate to our own selves is also a way to be compassionate in the world, is also something that can and will serve us. And we get caught up here in ideas of selfishness and deservingness. So we have to shift from selfishness. What does that actually mean? He's selfish, she's selfish, look at her go. Look what she's doing, whatever the crime is. And yet when we're talking about being compassionate to ourselves, we're talking about that capital S, soul self. And to have compassion for ourselves, to not judge ourselves for any little thing we say or do, and to remember and see ourselves as spiritual beings having human experiences, that we learn much more about ourselves and from ourselves when we lay off of the judgment, then it also conversely helps us to be compassionate with other people, just as being compassionate with other people helps us to be compassionate with ourselves. So again, it's not about feeling sorry for somebody. It's really feeling sorry with them. Check your own thoughts, ideas, opinions, feelings, agendas at the door when you are inspired to be with somebody, to offer some degree of compassion for whatever reason. And remembering that each of us is a spiritual being having a human experience. We're here on purpose, for a purpose, so that our desire to impose our own agenda on somebody else's process is a real interruption of the process they are in with their Creator. And to always remember to be compassionate to yourself. So I hope this is helpful. Thanks for being with me for volume 3, I think it is. And